Going for a walk. Still got a lot of leaves to get up. They all fell this past weekend. Seems like all at once. I've got this camera in point of view mode, so where I look is where it's gonna go. This is a nice day for a walk on my trail. I hope this is fairly smooth videoing. But we'll see. And up there is my fireplace pit. And that's from there all the way down over there is what I call the high road. It's a wider road. We can drive a tractor through there and things like that. And this little trail right here is the low road, and it's just for walking. Can't drive a mower or a tractor or anything through here, but it is a little bench. You can see where the bench has been cut into the hill here to make it a little flat spot to walk. And now down through the to the creek here. There's a bridge across the creek. You can see it right up ahead there. I built that bridge a few years ago, all out of cross ties, covered in leaves at the moment. Streams on the right and stream on the left. That's a tree that fell, and that's a big tree that fell a few years ago. Blocked everything off, so I got a lot of firewood out of that. It's hard to believe that when I moved here in 2005 that I never came back here. It was really overgrown and not suitable for walking. But starting a few years ago, I spent some time cleaning the trails out, and I finally figured out a great way to make the trails, and that is to buy a little Cub Cadet mower that was just able to get through here and cut down all the new growth and so forth that would come after all summer, ready for fall. And so I do that every fall and every spring, just to keep the trail groomed and ready to walk on it. I've cut down trees and cut back limbs and things like that to make a path to walk through. As this creek gets really deep here, and it's got rocks and boulders and stuff in here. It's pretty interesting where all those boulders came from. I had no idea that there were that many boulders around here until I saw these right up here. I call this the waterfall. When the creek's flowing, well, you can just barely see it flowing right now, but all that water comes down over these boulders and so forth. And that creek comes from way up there across the street. Oh, there's some deer. They're running away. There's about 7 deer that I see at times all together. And sometimes they're not afraid of me and allow me to walk up within about 20 yards, just staring at me, wondering what I'm gonna do. I think it all depends on whether one of them takes off. The rest of them go scrambling as well. But they, oh, see, there they are. Now they're just looking at me. See, when I stop, they kind of stop. There's one right up there, and then one right there, and I can't see where the other ones are. You see the little white tail as they run by. No, I'm not gonna go their way. See him looking straight at me? Yeah. And there's that one way down there. I'll go down this part of the trail. We'll probably run all across them again as we come around to meet them. This is one of my favorite parts of the trail. You can see the house from here. So we're about at the same level of the house. So we went way down and then we came back up. Oh, my knee almost gave out on me. Walking is not as easy for me as it used to be before my hip surgery and before my knees started going bad and all that stuff. But I'm determined to keep this up for as long as I possibly can. It's one of the favorite things I like to do, getting outside in the wintertime. I used to hike a lot in the mountains in Arkansas and East Tennessee, backpack and all that stuff. Those days are gone. I can't carry a backpack anymore. And that may be part of why my knees are messed up from carrying those heavy packs all those years. And I used to really hike a lot at Shelby Farms back when we first moved back to Memphis. And now I have my own trail back here. It's about a mile long, depending on how you wind around. And you can see we're coming up on the telephone pole. The right of way for all the power and electrical grid supplies like that. So we're gonna walk down that stretch for a ways here. I gotta look down so I can see where I'm stepping. Okay. Believe it or not, this is an area where I can get my riding lawnmower, my Cub Cadet, through here and cut all this back. Now this is an uphill slog right here. This will get the heart rate going. Looking for those deer. If they hear me coming, they'll go back the other way again. I forgot to turn my watch exercise meter on, but it'll still count because my heart rate's up. It'll know that I'm doing something. Now we're obviously on somebody else's property now. There's actually 2 lots here, and nobody's built on them or had them for sale for a long time. And I looked them up, and they're owned by somebody named Muhammad, and they probably are in Saudi Arabia or somebody like that and just have an investment property. But it wasn't a very good investment because then the lots are very narrow and very long, very deep, that is, from the street. And there's really not a lot of good places to build a house up towards the front. So I've got, nobody complains about me walking on their property because they don't know I do it. This is where those deer were when we saw them. Now when we get back down here close to the creek, we'll be back on my property. All right, we're repeating this trail, coming down the trail that we came up a little while ago when we saw those deer. I call this the tree tunnel because the tree, we walk up under it, it is still alive. It still puts out all these leaves, and it's bent like that right there. Crazy. And then right here are a bunch of holes. I call that the snake hole because that's probably where they hibernate, up under there. You can see where the water comes down this little ditch right there, going down towards the creek down there. And now where you see this telephone pole, that would be the edge of my property. Probably about the corner of it too, this particular pole. You see the fence up here. Well, I'll show you in a minute. It's hard to see through all the trees. But looking down there, all that, we're the next to the last house on this electrical line. And so we don't get a lot of quick service when the power goes out, and it goes out a lot. So this would be the corner of my property right here at this bridge. You see the corner of that fence right there. And we go up to within about 10 feet of that. So that waterfall is on my property. And so you see it's narrow from the creek up to the telephone line right here, but the further we go down this way, the deeper it gets, and further away from the telephone lines we are as we stay close to the creek. This is what I call the prominence, because you can walk out here and stand and look at all the this little, see the boulders right there. Unfortunately, I had some guys that dumped a bunch of cut down tree stuff in here, and it was rotting and causing backups of stuff, and I finally had them pull that stuff up. And if you look up there, you see the ones that we had to pull up with a chain and a tractor. But that's the prominence. This is a nice old cedar tree. I don't know if it's, I guess it's partly alive, or maybe it's dead. I think it's dead now. This is an old cedar tree, and it finally started falling apart. There's another one right here. And there's another one right there. Lots of trees have fallen down, particularly during that Hurricane Elvis thing that came through here. I counted over 75 trees. Lots of big ones, lots of smaller ones that fell down during that storm. This tree right here used to be thick enough to be a bridge. I mean, I use it as a walking bridge to get across here. This is how I got across without a bridge like I built down there. But it finally rotted out. There's where a tree fell down. There's where a tree fell down. Right here is where a tree fell down. Four of them landed on the house. Big ones. Did all kinds of damage, had to get repaired. And like I said, that one right there fell down just a few years ago, and it took a while to get it all cut up in the firewood, and I've got a lot of it stacked up. But you see those piles of logs in between trees in various places. All right, now we're gonna, instead of going back to where we came, we're going down a little different section. A tree fell down right here, and I ended up filling up the hole with all these white rocks last year to kind of build a road so my lawnmower could come down that big road up here, right down here, down through here like this, and that way. So that's how I get my lawnmower down here. Riding lawnmower, that is. That's all I ever use it for. I don't cut the grass. I just use it for maintaining my trail. And I let the guys that do cut my grass borrow it over the summer. They keep it running and in good shape for me. Although I abuse it pretty heavily. All right, so we're gonna go back up that way in just a second, but let me walk up here and show you the lower 40. I call this the lower 40 right down through there. That's where the septic field is for my septic tank, which is right there on the side of the house. Never had any problems with it. Amazing how all that stuff works. A lot of engineering goes into making that stuff work. I just had my deck painted, so they haven't put the chairs and table back up yet. They promised me they'd do that, and then it started raining and it never did, and I'll probably end up just having to do it myself. So this is the high road. There's a tree that fell down. There's a tree that fell down. Where I built this fireplace area, it's kind of flat. A tree right below that had fallen down, left a huge stump. And it took me forever for that stump to finally rot away where the dirt wouldn't keep settling. So instead of going back that way, I call this the Crossroads because this trail goes up this way and this trail comes down close and it makes kind of an X right here. We're gonna go up this trail. Sun's in our eyes. Now right here are my two luggage racks. My two firewood racks that I built. Just very simple. Concrete blocks, 4 4x4s and 4 2x4s. And it's held up all these years. I finally put a roof on it this past few weeks ago. And got that bolted up there to keep that wood dry so I could start a fire even after it rained. I like coming out here to build a fire even though I don't necessarily spend that much time around it. It was really fun last Thanksgiving when the boys and Bethany and Kyle came. We had a meal outdoors where we cooked hot dogs and marshmallows and so forth on the fire, and they really enjoyed that. We spent a lot of time out there. These are steps that I built. They're getting rotten. I'm gonna have all this redone with concrete block and concrete poured around there. But anyway, that's the walk back at the home. Let's see if I can turn this off.